Police officers in Coffs Harbour have smashed a woman's car window. Have a look at this. They dragged her out of the vehicle after she refused to comply with an officer's request. The woman and her male passenger argued they were not in the officer's jurisdiction and were not driving but rather travelling in the area.
You guys don't even know what you're on about.
So I mentioned in part one, if you've got a driver licence and your car's registered, well, you've signed up, consented to the system as these people have, and this is a traffic stop. And they blur out the faces of these people, so there's every chance that these are just crisis actors. A few people in the comments section of part one mentioned that perhaps that might have been what Eve Black was, which wasn't her real name, by the way. They actually published her, what was supposedly her real name, which again might not have even been her real name. So she might have been an actor as well, who knows. And this guy's playing the part of the uneducated bogan. You don't know what you're talking about.
I need your most senior on duty.
You don't have any jurisdiction on this land.
As a corporation, that may well be the case, but if you're contracted with them, you're in with it. He's about to break the window. They've just got it down enough so they can get his fingers on.
Oh, look out! You're under arrest. You're a freak. Yep. Man, I would love to just get you one-on-one.
Threatening a police officer. Look, this is just too perfect. And demonising sovereign citizens has been arrested.
Okay, so New South Wales police say the 52-year-old woman allegedly had 2 outstanding arrest warrants. She was charged with refusing to provide officers with her details and refusing to undergo a breath test, plus other charges.
Now, maybe she was just a moron, and maybe Channel 7 got hold of the footage. It was on their phones, but if this guy's made a threat to the police, well, they can seize that phone and use that as evidence. And it becomes, depending on the magistrate, they can release it to the public.
For more, I'm joined by a former New South Wales magistrate and Dean of Law at Southern Cross University, David Halpern. David, good morning to you. You've dealt with a lot of these kinds of people before the courts before.
This is Matt Shervington. I regret cheering him on. I didn't know he was going to turn into this abomination at the Sydney Olympics. And these people,
they're called sovereign citizens.
Yeah, the term sovereign citizen, I think, was imported from the United States. Most likely a name created by someone like the CIA to just package it up as a label so we can go, these people, sovereign citizens. Because as Romney pointed out, we're not actually sovereigns purely because we're not the creditors of the creation of credit. In other words, we're not the shareholders of the finance system, of the monetary system, of the economy. The foreigners are now, since we lost the Commonwealth Bank, which is why we desperately need the Australia Post Bank. Anyway, back to this.
What's their belief?
Core belief were established in that video, that they are sovereign citizens, that they're not subject to the laws that the rest of us are subject to, that the Queen's not the Queen, that police aren't really legitimate police, and that courts aren't legitimate courts.
Careful there, Your Ex-Honour. You're starting to stray close to the truth.
And that somehow, by way of a contract or otherwise, they've separated themselves completely from the laws of the land.
Well, their actions, despite what they're saying here, of getting a licence, means that's untrue.
It's concerning, isn't it? It's believed the killers who shot dead 2 police officers and a civilian last month in regional Queensland frequented conspiracy websites and also had this sovereign citizen view.
Oh, they didn't wait long for that. Look at the connection. I'm going to show too much more of this. They do get a bit more ridiculous. I'll jump to that part.
And the hard edge is a dangerous edge. The Oklahoma bomber was a straw man sovereign citizen in the United States.
They've gone to the other side of the world back 30 years. There's something that is equally as dubious as 9/11. That was a government building, and I think the bottom couple of floors supposedly housed the Alcohol, Tobacco and Firearms, ATF, and apparently on that day, the same as that, what was his name, Larry Silverstein, wasn't at the Twin Towers on that morning, there was not one ATF officer at about 8:30. All these other people were there, except for ATF. This footage from Channel 9, very similar situation.
Yes, what crime has been committed?
There's been a traffic offence committed, right? Well, you are required in Victoria, when you committed a traffic offence, to give me your name and address and produce your licence.
So obviously it's going to be edited by Channel 9 to make the police look good, but look, the police officer is just stating a simple fact that it's a traffic offence, and that's what this situation is. And the guy's still talking about what crime have I committed. Like I said in the previous one, it doesn't matter. It's a traffic offence, you've already agreed.
What crime is there?
What did I just say? It's not a crime. It's a traffic
Well,
offence.
for there to be a crime,
You're
there
in
must be a
Victoria, sir.
victim.
You must abide by Victorian rules.
Only if you've got a licence and you've entered the contract.
You asked me what crime's been committed. I said it's not a crime as per the Crimes Act. You are driving a motor vehicle in Victoria.
Travelling in my private
No, you
property.
can call it whatever you like, but I'm telling you, you're driving a motor vehicle in Victoria. As such, you must comply with all the rules and legislations of Victoria.
So this footage was actually part of a video put up by Liability Mate. Now, a lot of it's got some really good stuff in it, so I'm not going to go against the video as its entirety, but I will take issue with, they say that it's an automobile, not a motor vehicle. Well, if this guy ended up registering this car, so he's seen motor vehicle registration on it, he signed it, and he's paid it. So even though he doesn't say it, but that Liability Mate's putting up this stuff that it's an automobile. Well, if somebody registers it as a motor vehicle, that's what it is. And also it's travelling, not driving. But if you've got a driver licence, which this guy has, and he's driving.
So do we understand now?
No, I don't understand.
What could you not understand?
I don't understand your authority.
Well, he might say that, but by having a registered car and a driver licence, I'll say one more time, although this is in the context of the word understand, he does take the stand that the police officer has stated. People are interpreting the word understand as being a standing under someone's authority. Now, I'm going to show a video on this. I've looked up the definitions and etymology, and from my interpretation is the word understand means to adopt the standpoint of somebody else. And even though it's used as a synonym for comprehend, which is what the police are trying to get you to believe that that's the context they're using it in, they're not. But they say, do you understand, like, do you comprehend? It's, do you take their stand? Now, the definition in Merriam-Webster of understand can be to take a position without full information. In other words, without comprehending it. And so they don't care whether you comprehend. They just want you to say yes. Oh, look, this is for another video. I'll get back to it.
So again, as you have committed an offence, you are required to state to me your full name and address and produce your licence.
What law?
What did I just explain to you?
What law?
Traffic law.
Well, it's contract law that you've entered into getting a licence. Now, I'm not going to keep going on with this. This guy just ends up looking like a total dickhead. Again, I'm starting to think this one was as staged as looked like the Channel 7 one was, because this Channel 9 video just makes the police officer look really good and makes the sovereign citizen look like a dickhead.
One woman filming a confrontation with patient officers after she refused to wear a mask at a major southeast shopping centre.
So we've got a situation where there's no licence involved, and this plays out, as far as outcomes go, exactly as it should.
I think it's sad that you're making me feel intimidated because...
I'm not intimidating, I'm asking why not.
But do you know the law?
This is what Queensland Police are dealing with on the COVID front line every day.
So two people have had here today had exemptions. They both had the...
As do I.
Well, then why didn't you show it?
I don't have to.
Now, she may have an exemption or she may not, and is using the fact that she knows she doesn't have to show it to this guy to get away with it.
Then why do you have it with you?
Because I'm just standing my ground. I don't have to show it to you.
This confrontation filmed at the Garden City shopping centre in the past week. The officer remarkably calm.
Not the innuendo there. Remarkably remained calm. Police officers, they got guns. They should be calm all the time. In situations like this, maybe they're in a shootout, all right, okay, you don't have to remain that calm.
Asking a woman why she was unmasked.
The only thing that matters to you is filming me.
Yeah, because you're...
passing it on.
Yeah, because...
That's quite sad.
A police officer has been charged, accused of slamming a man to the ground during a violent arrest at Flinders Street Station.
Now, this is why you let them know they're being filmed and even say, oh, look, you're being live streamed, because otherwise I'll just take your camera and delete it.
She refuses repeated requests to show her apparent medical exemption, claiming it's an invasion of privacy.
Most of them say you're exempt. It doesn't say what the condition is, it just says you're exempt.
If someone is legitimately claiming they've got a health condition, I have no doubt that the police will be listening to that. But some people are just being belligerent.
Now, they're actually showing this one on TV because they can muddy the waters and say, oh, maybe there was an exemption at play. But what they really would never want to disclose is that exemptions don't even matter. The health minister doesn't make decisions for you. You make your own decisions. And when there's no licensing, you don't have to wear a mask. That's why, I think I mentioned it before, maybe quite a few times. I'm a bit boring with this, but I walked around the shopping centres without a mask the whole time. And I only saw two cops once on the other sides of the Castle Towers of the aisles are quite wide and they got shop pop-up shops in the middle. Now maybe they didn't see me, or they might have gone, oh look, I think he's got an exemption, we won't approach that guy. But no, I never got approached. That's why they pitted us against each other, pitted Bunnings workers and got confronted by a liquor shop owner and an office works girl about a mask. Both times I just went about my business without one. But yeah, it was unenforceable. That they knew it. And in fact, as mentioned before, they've withdrawn all the fines. They would have withdrawn the mask fines as well, so they couldn't issue them in the first place.
And frustrating for frontline officers who have spent thousands of hours enforcing lockdowns, manning the borders, all to protect the community.
They failed to highlight they were protecting you from a supposed virus that gave you cold and flu symptoms and didn't kill you until you're over the age of life expectancy. And why are they out there now protecting us? Well, they don't care anymore. About 30 people are dying each day in New South Wales while testing positive for fragments of the same substances in the jabs.
Madam, I think it's very, very sad that you feel you need to do this as a police officer.
Oh, it feels very sad that, madam, you did this to a police officer. He's such a victim. And in actual fact, what he's been tasked with doing is to attack her and her rights, but she just knew what to do.
I'm just
It's unclear if failing to provide a medical exemption is against the directive of the Chief Health Officer.
No, it is clear. First chance cops got during COVID, they did this.
Nonetheless, police say they will continue to use communication and compassion above compliance.
Sling tackling a man to the ground of Flinders Street Station.
Don't abuse them. Be respectful. They are there to do a job.
Gordon Fabris, 9 News.
There's the police walking off empty-handed. Oh, that would have hurt. If this wasn't staged, it still might have been staged. Oh, that's it for part 2. So if you got a licence, you got to go along. If you haven't got a licence, well, your options are open. All right, that's it for this one.